Back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. We're going to be diving into a lot of Arsenal stuff, especially that we are going to be having the Premier League game over the weekend. That is massive. That is absolutely massive. I was fuming over the last news that our PSV and Hoven game was suspended. You remember? I was absolutely fuming. But now it looks like a little bit better. So the Brentford game will not be postponed. The Brentford game over the weekend is going to be taking place. Yes, I'm going to miss Europa League as people enjoy UEFA Champions League, as Manchester United enjoys the UEFA Europa League. I mean, it's a competition that I've grown to love, by the way, because we've taken a long time without playing in the UEFA Champions League. I even don't know how it feels to play in the UEFA Champions League anymore. And that's why the Europa League for me is like a home. It's like a competition away from home and a home away from home. If anyone touches my Europa League, I'm not happy. But anyway, lads, I can confirm there the Brentford game over the weekend will go ahead as planned. 7 other fixtures of the Premier League will go ahead as planned. Only 3 fixtures in the Premier League will be or have been postponed. That is the Liverpool game has been cancelled. The Manchester United game, I think, against Leeds has been cancelled, and Crystal Palace Brighton has been cancelled as well. I mean, I could care less. All I want is Arsenal to play Brentford, win that game, and stay on top of the table. I mean, you know, when you have that kind of rhythm, you want it to stay. I also want us to dive into the situation around Marquinhos. Now, Fabrizio Romano has come out and said Marquinhos is a key player at Arsenal. However, Mikel Arteta is thinking about loaning Marquinhos in January for him to get some more game time. So it remains to be seen if Arsenal will sign a new winger. But the moment Arsenal are sure of signing a new winger, then Marquinhos will be going out on loan. So there is a possibility that this coming January, Arsenal will definitely try to get a winger. Now, I love that. I love the sound and taste of that. But I'm still very, very bitter. So if you want to calm me down, hit that like button for me. What do you think about the PSV game being cancelled and then the Brentford game going on? I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's absolutely crazy. And I'm going to tell you the reason as to why it is absolutely crazy. So, but in the comment section, what do you think? Should our PSV and Hoven Europa League fixture, should it go ahead? Should it go ahead? Whether it's behind closed doors, whether it's with or without fans in the stands, or are you happy that it's been postponed? Arsenal have some time to deal with injuries, whatnot. I mean, where do you stand? I need to get your thoughts. I need to get your reactions. But for me, guys, I'm very, very happy that the Brentford game is on. So let's get into it. As I reported in my most recent video, it looks like Arsenal, PSV and Hoven is not going to take place. That has been confirmed by UEFA because, of course, they are the official owners of the Europa League. So they have, in a strong statement, in an official statement, they have confirmed that they've had a meeting between them and the Metropolitan Police, and also a meeting between them and the clubs, PSV and Arsenal, and they've come to a consensus that it will not make any sense to carry on with the fixture PSV and Hoven and Arsenal without sufficient resources, policing the game. So the Metropolitan Police, after bragging, because they're braggarts, honestly, they're braggarts. After bragging a while ago that they have enough resources to see football go ahead, they have enough resources to make sure that all these games go on as planned. They eventually they eventually eaten their words, and they have said we are sorry. We don't even have enough resources to cover Chelsea in the UEFA Champions League and Arsenal in the UEFA Europa League. So the UEFA Europa League game should be postponed. UEFA have listened, Arsenal have listened, PSV and Hoven have listened as well, and the game has been called off. But this is what I said. in my reaction, and I don't want to. I don't want it to happen like or to sound like a regurgitation. But I'm gonna say it again. It makes no sense for the Premier League to call off games a week before the funeral of of the Queen, right? And then we come into midweek. That is on Thursday. I don't know if Thursday is even midweek. Just sounds like a weekend. And then we call off the PSV game. But then we play on Sunday, and remember, Saturday, Sunday. Those are the 2 days when the funeral of Queen Elizabeth is gonna be held. It makes no sense. It absolutely makes no sense. Agree with me, disagree with me. It absolutely makes no sense, and this is the reason, guys, as to why it doesn't make any sense. At least to me, at least to Cossy. A week before the funeral, have the games. A week during, the weekend during the funeral, postpone the games. That makes a lot of sense. Whether it's policing, whether it is cameramen and resources, that will make a lot of sense. But talking about policing a week before the funeral, talking about it just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. But anyway, the excuse for the PSV game is absolutely lame, especially by UEFA, because UEFA have in their jurisdiction to say PSV will host this game at home initially. Right? It's just a simple twitch. Or PSV Arsenal could be played on a neutral ground. They had a whole week to decide on that. Because for me, lads, listen, pushing this game 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks ahead, trust me, people who had booked their tickets are going to suffer just the same way if this game had been rescheduled 50 miles away, first and foremost. Switching these games 3 weeks, 4 weeks ahead, many people are going to lose their money. The middle class people are going to lose their money. It's not changing. It doesn't change anything. I had paid my ticket. I had paid my my screen, my DSTV, my whatever, to watch that game, and the subscription is running out for free. It's just running out. Actually, in this month, I've been absolutely robbed. There was no football. I pay my subscription, to watch football. This month, I've been absolutely robbed. No football, no nothing. So for me, it was the wrong call to call off the games that is up last weekend. It's the same wrong call they've made to call off Arsenal PSV. There were so many options we could have gone for. A neutral ground, 50 miles away. I mean, we played 50 miles away from Zurich. 50 miles away from Zurich, and the game happened. We could have done it with PSV Eindhoven, and it could have happened. It was all about giving them the notice earlier, a week earlier, right? But the problem for me with UEFA, and the problem I have with FIFA, they love a scandal, don't they? They just love a scandal. They just love mixing things with matter, with things that don't even join up, things that don't even add up. So for me, the PSV call is a wrong one. But guys, guess what? I have this. Have some good news. Hit the like button for me. Subscribe to the podcast as well. I have some very, very good news, and the good news is Arsenal Brentford is going on. Okay, so this is what I've listened to from Sky, and I've also looked at it at the Premier League website. Of course, I always do because I play fantasy. I have their fucking app in my phone. So this is what they've said. Games, Premier League games this coming weekend will be played for the exception of only 3 games. Brighton Crystal Palace. Now, I think Brighton Crystal Palace do have their own problems. They're not connected to celebrations of the Queen's passing on. The problems with that game are connected to an industrial strike. Yeah. So that is not connected to Queen Elizabeth and whatnot. Chelsea, Liverpool will also not go ahead. Now, I think they're scared by the magnitude of that fixture. I mean, you rightly so understand, as a very, very understanding, fan of the Premier League. I understand now because Arsenal is going to play. So the other games, I think the other games should be called off. We are on top of the table. Yeah, no one cares. So Chelsea, Liverpool, that game has been called off as well. And the reason for me, I think you look at the magnitude of that game, you look at how crazy it could be. You look at the tensions that could happen. It might need more policing. It might stretch the policing resources, right? A little bit more. Then Manchester United, Leeds United has also been postponed. Now that one, there is a derby in there. Man United Leeds, there is a derby. Now, I don't understand if the derby is that big. Just like, I mean, you cannot compare it to the Old Firm derby, Rangers Celtic. You cannot, can you? But the game has been called off. I think the element of the derby, probably, I'm not really sure why. I don't want to, assume knowledge that I've not acquired. So, but those three games will not be played. The rest of the fixtures, including Arsenal, Brentford, will go on. And this is one of the best times to play Brentford because they're on fire. They're absolutely on fire. So, Arsenal is well rested. Brentford is well rested. We're coming into this game fresh and clean. I'm happy. I'm absolutely happy because after this weekend, we will not have another set of club football fixtures played. After this weekend, we are entering the international break. The international break. And you see why I've told you that DSTV and all these subscriptions have just cheated my money. I'm not interested in international breaks. I'm not interested in. Look, I love to see Spain play, and I'm gonna watch a lot of Spain, play, kicking the ball around and just freezing opponents. But honestly, when it comes to club football, it's always the interesting part of it. It's always why I pay my my subscriptions, whether it's Showmax, whether it's DSTV. But anyway, guys, confirmation. You have heard it on Cossy's Arsenal podcast. You can confirm it. You can continue confirming it, and of course, having the discussion around it. But the question for me, I asked you in the comment section, is how do you feel? Are you happy that our games are actually back? And are you happy that the PSV game is off? Or are you absolutely fuming just like I am? For me, I'm fuming. I'm honestly fuming. I don't understand why that game had to be called off, honestly. Welcome, bro, says Emmanuel, and says maybe Arsenal should go and play the ball in the PSV home. Look, that is what I thought. That is what I thought they should have done initially. Get the game and play it, away from home, away from the UK. But they didn't. They didn't go for that. And it's not just that. There was an option of playing that game in a neutral ground. There was an option of playing it away from home, but behind closed doors. There were so many options, but I think both clubs decided they will not incur any more costs, and the game will be rescheduled. But anyway, let's dive into what I wanted us to talk about today, and that is the situation of a new winger in January, and also the situation on Marquinhos. Now, Marquinhos had a very, very good debut in the UEFA Europa League. Actually, one of the reasons as to why I wanted the UEFA Europa League to come back is to see Marquinhos and Fabio Vieira again. I think Vieira is a good player. There is a player in there. There is a super player in there, but we will need some time. He will need some time. And I think Arsenal fans need to be a little bit more patient. So I don't think, he's that kind of flop. And he's not going to be a flop, in my opinion. So, but now that the Europa League is not on, Marquinhos will have to wait until after the international break for him to get another chance to play in the UEFA Europa League. That will be against Bodo Glimt in the Europa League. And I think it's a very, very interesting fixture for such a young lad. So rumors are that Arsenal are working on signing a winger in January, and this will push Marquinhos on loan in January. So Fabrizio Romano, initially after the good performance of the lad, came out and confirmed that Arsenal are very, very happy with the signing and investment in Marquinhos. They would love to keep him on a long term, and they are going to keep him on a long term. And he's going to be one of those few young lads that are going to be in and out of the first team squad. Now, what I've seen with Marquinhos, honestly, is mind blowing. Let's be honest. Look, forget all these YouTube clips. I don't give my analysis based on YouTube clips, and the reason as why I don't like YouTube clips as evidence, you know, for analysis, it it is a few best moments of a player clipped out and then brought together. I love to see players play 90 minutes. I love to see players play 45 minutes. You know, players being roughed up, players being defended against, players being, and the mentality and the context of the Europa League is also, is also something very, very different. And that is why I waited for Marquinhos to get, game time. And I thought, look, I think he has actually proven us very, very correct. I remember the hype around Marquinhos. Personally, myself, I said he's gonna be a star. He's a good player. Arsenal are lucky to have him, and I think he is. I really, really think he's a star. I really think he's a very, very, very good player. So the idea of giving him out on loan, the idea of sending him out on loan, I would welcome that. I would definitely welcome that. Reports suggest that Mikel Arteta understands that the player would love to stay, would love to be around the squad, but we want to send him out for more regular game time. I don't think there is a problem in that. So because my problem with this Arsenal side is we are so good at exploiting young players. Saka, for instance. Saka's played two consecutive seasons. Actually, this is the third consecutive season where Saka is literally playing every minute for us, not in every competition. I was so surprised that he brought him on, for Marquinhos in the Europa League. I was very, very surprised. So I would love Marquinhos to go out, probably to Spain, I think Spain would be a very, very good league for Marquinhos, because you look at how easy it is in the Spanish La Liga. Or probably not very easy, but the technical level in that league is better than the physicality. So it's more technical in the Spanish La Liga than how physical it is. And that's why I think Marquinhos should be going to the Spanish La Liga, probably to Valencia, probably. I don't know if Gattuso is a manager that would give him that kind of lovely experience, because we know with Gattuso he's a rough, he's a rough guy, especially when he was during his playing times at AC Milan. But in my opinion, if he goes to Spain, to a club like Valencia, and establishes himself, it would be better. He's only 19, or I think 18 even. In the next 2 to 3 years, when he turns 21, 22, that is when Arsenal are really going to get the best out of him. That is when we will get the best out of Marquinhos. So sending out, if Arsenal decide that they will send him out on loan in January, I will have no problem with it. I don't have a problem with it. And I still don't have a problem with it because it has been suggested that Arsenal will try to sign a new winger in January. And that is why Marquinhos is most likely to leave the club and join another club. So there is proposal of a new winger on the cards. It's not an easy one. It's certainly not an easy one because, look, if you think about it, there are not so many wingers that are going to be available in the January of 2023. The only ones that I can think about is Marco Asensio. Asensio is apparently not happy with Carlo Ancelotti because of the lack of game time. Of course, I highly anticipate that Marco Asensio stayed at Real Madrid because he thought the departure of Gareth Bale um, would open more doors to him. I think it was right. The season is still young. Madrid are going to sustain more injuries. I think Eden Hazard for me should not be starting ahead of Marco Asensio in any way, shape, or form at Real Madrid, and a couple of other factors. I think he will get the game time that he deserves. So Marco Asensio will be available in January. He has changed his agency to George Mendes, and I'm not very surprised, and I won't be very surprised if the advice he's getting from George Mendes is run down your contract and come to the Premier League after in the summer of 2023. I won't be very, very surprised. But if Arsenal want a winger in January, he's one to look up to. He's one to look at. I think 26, I don't know, next year he will be 27. I think he will be 27, won't he? He will be 27. At 27, he's a proven winger. I think he's got the minerals to play in the Premier League. He has everything you need to play in the Premier League. And for me, I think Marco Asensio was a little bit of a fool to stay at Real Madrid when he knows still in this year you're going to be fighting for for a chance with the likes of Yerem Pino, with the likes of Ansu Fati, with the likes of Gavi in the Spanish national side in the World Cup. It was the wrong decision for him. And January doesn't bring back anything. The World Cup will be over. I think his focus will be, I want to be part of this Luis Enrique, not Unai Emery, but Luis Enrique army that he's building for Spain. And for him to do that, he needs to do what players like Raheem Sterling have done: walk away from the shadow and go into the light, and it either burns you or you outshine it. So for me, Marco Asensio available in January. If anyone doesn't like Marco Asensio, then you have a problem. I think he's a very quality player, not because he's Spanish and I like Spanish players, but I just feel he has that golden touch. If we can give him the love he wants, if we can give him, I don't mean pampering, but I mean the kind of appreciation that he is looking for. The likes of what we did with the likes of Alexis Sanchez. I think we can transform his career into a positive one. That is my own opinion, right? And then we are talking about wingers that are available. I think Mikhailo Modric will be available, as well. Mikhailo Modric is another player that will be available. Now his contract is not going to run down soon, and so Shakhtar are in a very, very comfortable situation. But why I think he will be available, Shakhtar will be out. Oh, okay, this is wrong for me to say, but there are high chances that Shakhtar will be out of the UEFA Champions League. And every Arsenal fan, it is not good to pray negatively, but I think we should be praying that Shakhtar Donetsk are out of the UEFA Champions League by January. Because if that happens, then they have a reason to sell Mikhailo Modric in January. Honestly. The only reason as to why they cannot let go of Mikhailo Modric, it is the UEFA Champions League. They know he's one of their star men. They know he's one of their very, very key men. And letting him go, just like it's a bit of what PSV Eindhoven did, right? They thought to themselves, we are playing in the UEFA Champions League, qualifiers against the likes of Rangers. I think the first round was with Monaco. We cannot let go of Ibrahim Sangare and Cody Gakpo. They are our star men. We cannot let go of them. So they kept tight of Sangare. They kept tight of Cody Gakpo as well. It's the same situation with Shakhtar. If there is any chance that they even get out of that group, if there is any chance that they qualify from that group, it is going to be courtesy of the likes of Mikhailo Modric. Starman for them, absolutely very, very wonderful. But I've told you, lads, I like him. He has this kind of hair, just like Jack Grealish. And when I look at him and how he plays, it's very, very Jack Grealish like. The Jack Grealish at Aston Villa, not the Jack Grealish at Manchester City. So I would 100% take him. It would still cost Arsenal around 40 million euros, but I think it's worth it. 21 years of age, capable of scoring goals, capable of creating chances, capable of breaking and leading, solo counterattacks. Very, very good at link-up play as well. I think he's a real talent. Resale value is very high, has a very high ceiling. Arsenal should look back in January on this guy. So Mikhail Modric, Marco Asensio, very, very available. But we know the priority has always been Pedro Neto. Arsenal appreciate Pedro Neto. They love him. And I think, unlike all these other players, Pedro Neto brings out the true picture of a winger that Mikel Arteta wants. A player that can hold the width of the pitch, enlarge the pitch and stretch the pitch as much as they can, and also very deadly in 1v1 situations. That is Pedro Neto for you. But for me, Wolverhampton Wanderers, I don't want to say I don't see, but I'm going to say this. I don't see how they sell, again, one of their star players in this Premier League season in Pedro Neto. I don't see how they let him go. Whether it is 50 million, whether it is 45 million, I don't think they will actually let him go. Yes, they spent some money in the summer, but the sales of Leandro Dondonka and Morgan Gibbs White just breached and covered all those financial spaces. So they're financially okay. They're financially fine. I don't think they will be excited to sell. And I don't think 45 million is money that is really going to excite them. I think Wolves will lose either of Pedro Neto and Neves, Ruben Neves, in the summer, but not in January. So I don't expect that one to happen in January. But one that I expect to happen, and one that I think should be explored very, very highly, is Cody Gakpo at PSV Eindhoven. It will be a difficult one because PSV playing in the Europa League, almost in this, not almost, but they are in the same group as Arsenal. They will feel they have more chances of making it far in the Europa League, probably even up to the semi-finals, because their quality in that side is quality that can go to the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League. Okay, to the round of 16 of the UEFA Champions League. And if you think about it in that way, they will be thinking, if we keep all our players intact, we can go as to we can go to as far as probably semi-finals of the UEFA of the UEFA Europa League, right? So that one is not an easy one. I don't think Cody Gakpo is an easy buy, but again, he's not one of those that I look at and I feel Arsenal cannot get him. We can definitely buy Cody Gakpo in January. So those are some of the deals that I feel are doable. I will try to explore a few others, and I will do a video about them, especially when it comes to contract situations, because that is why many players move in January. Contract situations. That is why many players move in January. Hit the like button, people. Hit the like button and keep on subscribing to the podcast. So those are the three wingers that I think Arsenal could explore. But I'm really happy that Arsenal is still thinking about getting a winger. I've already said this, and I'm going to say this as a song. I'm going to sing it as a song throughout this campaign. The games and the schedule is absolutely ridiculous. Having the World Cup midway the campaign is absolutely ridiculous. But there's nothing we can do. FIFA have already decided that that is going to be the way. That is the way to go, and we cannot, we cannot change things back to the way they are supposed to be. So, in my opinion, what Arsenal need to do is go out and strengthen in January. A winger is absolutely needed. I've heard that players like Caicedo will be up for grabs. I've had players like Douglas Luiz will be up for grabs. I think even the likes of Yuri Tillemans will be up for grabs in January. There is a lot of possibilities for us to strengthen in January. So if we don't do it, For me, in my opinion, we'll only have ourselves to blame. We only have ourselves to blame. Well, what are you saying in the chat? Mike says, anyway, thanks for the show. Thank you so much. Hi, Cossy, it doesn't look good to cancel our game. We can drop the performance of play, and that is one of the reasons as to why I'm very, very furious with games being cancelled and others being played. Games before the Queen's funeral cancelled, and then games during the Queen's funeral are taking place. Are you taking a piss? Are these guys taking the piss? Because how do they explain that? Right? How do they explain that? If you're trying to get collective mourning and not using the Premier League as a distraction, we will understand. Everybody will understand. Then don't dare fix fixtures on the weekend when the funeral is going to take place. But the weekend with the funeral has games. The weekend without the funeral has no games. Interesting. Very interesting. But look, I agree with you there, Thomas. I agree with you, because the more you play, the better the rhythm. And we've already seen that, right? We've already seen that. We needed to bounce back from that Manchester United defeat. That is how important the Everton game was. Look, I'm not saying that I'm not 100% glad that the game gives us some time to recover from injuries and fatigue. But remember, this was one of the best times to play Everton. They don't have a win this season. They're still struggling with injuries and finding their best man up top and finding their best 11. There is no better time to play Everton. And the fact that we've just, missed that game, by the time we play Everton, you never know. They will have regained their form, probably. They'll be a much better side, and we'll be happy to walk away with a draw. That is why I wanted to play Everton here and now, right? Can you believe that if the Brentford game was not going to be played, we were going to have Tottenham and Liverpool next? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Let us gain the points. Let us collect the points we can, and then move into these tougher fixtures with enough points. For me personally, I wouldn't really care. Arsenal going into Tottenham and Liverpool fixtures, 6 points clear on the table. I wouldn't care, because by the time we play Liverpool, I don't know how many points we are already having better than them. By the time we play them, we might be 10 points above them. Spurs are a little bit closer, and they I think they're unbeaten this season. Are they unbeaten, Spurs? Yeah, I think they've only dropped points twice against West Ham and Chelsea. Those draws, so they're unbeaten. So we've dropped 3 points this season. They've dropped 4. You see, so we need to beat Brentford, right? We need to beat Brentford. They are lucky they've not played Manchester City the previous weekend, so that is postponed. We just need to keep on winning, and that rhythm has been tampered with. But anyway, I just hope that we can get back to winning ways in the Premier League. Wilson says, Cossy, our players will play on pressure like last season. At the end, we lost top 4. Look, I think every team, of course, this is an Arsenal live show, and this is why I think FIFA and UEFA, apart from making the money, they don't care about the welfare of clubs and players. How I said this in my recent video. How are players supposed to play all these many games, right, that are going to be fixated into the calendar next year? How are they going to support? How are they supposed to concentrate on the Europa League, and then the Premier League? Every midweek we're gonna see fixtures. And for me, it doesn't make sense. It absolutely doesn't make any sense, honestly. Not to me, right? Not to me. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Wilson. That's a good point. That's a really, really good point. Okay. Mike says we have a lot of wingers whom myself I like, uh, but uh, but the board of Edu. Look, I think why we didn't get a winger in, it's more of Arsenal not having the time, because during the last part of the window we concentrated more on outgoings rather than incomings, and we concentrated more on incomings rather than outgoings during the earlier part of the window. So the reason that's why we didn't sign as many players, especially in the winger positions, is um, we wanted to do that in the last few days of the window, and we failed. I think we failed to beat time, and time beat us. Of course, time is a very, very dangerous master, isn't it? But I think we will get in a winger sooner or later. Yeah, we'll get in a winger sooner or later. I'm not 100% in trust of Edu, but I think we will. Yeah, honestly, I think we will. Okay. Uh, Ahmed says there is a lot of politics in the UEFA, and that's why the Arsenal game has been postponed. Look, it's so blurry. The picture is so blurry because you postpone a game on Thursday, a game that surely is is clear, a game that is so far, that is so far away in terms of timing, with a funeral at least 48 hours, and then during the weekend you're gonna have fixtures going ahead. Doesn't make any sense for me, but look, it's culture, and we've always talked about culture. You don't want to interfere with people's cultures, because at times it doesn't make a lot of sense, doesn't it? But I'm I'm just I'm just puzzled. I'm just puzzled, and I said it. I'm just puzzled with this, with all this, Arsenal and fixtures, Europa League fixtures being called off, and then Chelsea have a UEFA Champions League game on in London. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast. Always daily content for you here on the podcast. Make sure you smash a like on the video, subscribe, and I'll speak to you very, very soon. I'm gonna be live on the 90 More podcast on YouTube, on the 90 More YouTube channel. So catch me there. I'm gonna take a break, 15 minutes, and I'll be live there at 9 p.m. See you very, very soon. Kohere.